the past 2 weeks, I published a fairly concise guide to tonal basic music practice. I wish it were as simple to write a piece on rhythm, but through writing this piece, I found that it is much more complicated. Tonal systems are constructed. Our 12-tone system in particular is only around 500 years old. Rhythm, however, is rooted in human nature and is arguably as old, if not older, than humankind. Even our days have rhythm, from sunrise to sunset, dusk to dawn. We engage with the world around us in rhythmic movements. Our timekeeping, our schedules, and arguably everything we do is rooted in rhythm in some way or another. Rhythm has cultural variance in how it is taught, learned, and practiced. Rhythm is something that, by all logic, should be perfect, mathematical, and concise, but it's something we best understand through our bodies in a very primal way. All this to say, gathering all rhythm skills into a single exercise is impossible, but I believe I've cracked some of the more fundamental patterns that are essential to know. My personal approach to rhythm comes from the practical approach I picked up from two college professors from my undergraduate studies, Vinnie Martucci and Charles Blenzig, both folks that I've talked about here before, combined with a more academic approach that came out of my graduate school research. I will be including the exercise I've developed for free download in my Substack, which you can find linked below in my description. If you have the means to support my work, consider becoming a paid subscriber so I can continue publishing resources of this nature for public access. Now, before I get too deep into my own method for rhythm basic music practice, I want to discuss a bit about how rhythm is being taught and learned presently. When I was working towards my master's degree, I found that the way music is taught and learned in American music education is based on a handful of educational theorists from Europe in particular. In terms of rhythm, you'll find that they all advocate differently for the modality of practice, some placing more importance on rhythm syllables and speaking rhythms, while others place more importance on things like movement and playing. The French system, also called the Chev system or Chev system, I don't speak French, uses syllabic and numerical approaches. So in elementary school, it's ta for quarter notes and tt for eighth notes, and in high school, it's the numbers and their subdivisions, such as one-ianda for 16th notes. This is used all over the place, in America at least, and I sometimes feel that it's a bit divorced from the physical side of rhythm, though it is very helpful for more like rigid studies of pieces. The Kodai method approaches rhythm through experiential learning, meaning speaking and moving rhythms. In terms of syllables, it uses ta for quarter notes, tt for eighth notes, and tika tika for 16th notes. For moving rhythms, the approach makes use of folk songs and rhyme games. In America and Europe, most of our elementary school music education is rooted in this approach. The Orff method, on the other hand, is more rooted in instrumental exploration and utilizes ostinato as a method for learning rhythm. If your childhood music education involved mallet instruments like this, your teacher likely utilized a bit of the Orff approach. This method never prescribes a specific syllable, but rather encourages the student to use simple words and chants for rhythms. For example, apple could be eighth notes because it has two sounds for two notes. The Dalcroze method approaches rhythm mostly through movement and developed what is known as eurythmics, which is a process for moving various rhythms and patterns. Most people don't get to experience this method unless they grew up in a city or an affluent community. It's a little hippy-dippy, to be totally honest, and a bit of a pyramid scheme in terms of the teacher certification. I actually tried to get certified at one point, but sort of fell out of it. But the method itself has some redeeming practices. Music learning theory, developed by Edwin Gordon, who coined the term audiation that I discussed in my first video essay, focuses on an oral approach where students listen and repeat rhythms, focusing on hearing the rhythm in their head, basically. You may have had a preschool teacher that used this approach. In terms of syllables, it uses do for quarter notes, do day for eighth notes, and do to data for 16th notes. It works. I find it kind of hard to say due to data very fast. Here's the thing. All of these are Western frameworks, only dating back to the 19th and 20th centuries at the earliest. If you look into music culture in parts of Africa and India, you'll find rhythm practices dating back literal thousands of years. I would argue that the best approach for developing a sense of rhythm is a multimodal approach. The ability to more holistically speak, move, and play a rhythm would be a more accurate indicator of one's sense of rhythm. I've found a more modern system to be the most effective in the practice of speaking rhythms. The approach is referred to as the Takdimi system. It was developed by a musician and academic named Richard Hoffman while teaching at Ithaca College. And before I get into the specifics, I do want to note that the system borrows conventions from South Indian Carnatic music. I think it's important to acknowledge where things come from, and these systems merely borrow a fraction of the technique that was developed over thousands of years in a very deep music culture. It's based on 4-note groupings using the syllables takadimi, which would be 16th notes for duple meters. The approach also has conventions for 3-note groupings using the syllables taka-D for triplets and triple meters. And I will be honest and say that I think that the triple meters are a bit clunkier than the duple meters, but they do work for the purpose, and I have yet to find another system as comprehensive as this one. Now, let's put these syllabic methods into practice with some fundamental rhythms. This is where rhythm basic music practice begins. There are 7 duple and 7 triple patterns that you will find pop up over and over again in music. The practice for these is fairly simple. First, set a metronome to 60 beats per minute. Second, use the slowest moving subdivision and say each rhythm by repeating each pattern until it flows over the beat. Third, once you can say it, play it while you say it. This could be with your hands on your lap or on a hand drum. Note that you'll see that each subdivision uses the same syllables. This is because they are all the same pattern essentially, just juxtaposed differently against the meter. You would say each of these rhythms exactly the same, and only the underlying time feel would change. Ta, ta, ta. Ta, 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 ta. Ta di, ta di, ta di, ta di. Ta di, ta di, ta di, ta di. Takdimi, 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 takdimi. Ta, dimi, 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 takadi, 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 takadi. Ta, mi 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 taka, 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 mi 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 taka, mi. Taki da 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 ta 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 da taki 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 ta tavaki dami 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 ta di da 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 ta ki 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 di da taki dami taki dami taki dami taki taki dami taki dami taki dami taki dami. My approach for syncopation comes from Vinnie Martucci, who picked up this approach from Carl Berger, who I talked about in my last video. It is referred to as gamala taki, and it approaches all rhythms as groups of 2 notes, like taki, and 3 notes, like gamala. This can be used for both finding the pulse in an odd meter, as well as practicing phrasing for syncopated rhythms. I will be using it as a practice prompt, and here's how you can do that. First, pick a meter. Second, divide that meter into groups of 2 and 3. Third, set a metronome to 60 beats per minute, say the pattern, and repeat it until it is flowing. Fourth, on your lap or on a hand drum, play the rhythm with all beats, continuing to say it while you play it. Next, play only the first beat of each 2 and 3 note grouping, what I'll refer to now as the big beat. Continue to say the full rhythm while only playing the big beat. And last, only play the big beat, no counting. The pattern I made up is in 12/8. It uses groups of 3, 2, 3, 2, 2. So gamala taki, taki. Here's how it sounds over a metronome. Gamala taki, taki, gamala taki, taki. Gamala taki, taki, gamala taki, taki. Gamala taki, taki, gamala taki, taki. My approach for finding the big beat comes from Charles Blenzig, a great pianist and educator I studied with at Purchase College. Essentially, this approach puts the big beat of common odd meters in the body. It doesn't cover every odd meter, but it covers the common ones. All odd meters are juxtaposed against even meters in this exercise. And this practice will deal with 2 common odd meters and ways to divide them up. 5/8 can be broken up in 2 ways. 2/3, which is the most common, and 3/2, which is less common. 7/8 can be broken up in 3 ways. 2/2/3, which I think is the most common or the one I've seen the most. 3/2/2 and 2/3/2. You'll want to set a metronome at 60 beats per minute and tap your foot with it. Choose 1 meter and subdivision to focus your practice on. Say each numerical subdivision using a 16th note pulse. You can also use the gamala and taki syllables from the last example instead of counting to 2 and 3. While saying it, tap the pattern on your leg, playing the strong beat on one leg and the weak beats on the other. Only play the strong beats while continuing to tap your foot. First, I'm going to turn on my metronome and tap my foot at 60 beats per minute. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So the examples I just worked through are only some of the exercises from the full 6-page document on rhythm basic music practice. This is an area that I have worked at for the last 10 years, and this document has kind of come out of that experience. I'll be the first to say it takes time to digest this material, but if you work with it and stick with it, you will see progress. As much as I would like to write a comprehensive study of rhythm, I just don't believe it to be possible. The subject is much too big and requires input from a multitude of sources. Nonetheless, I hope this piece and resource are helpful in developing your own sense of rhythm. I'm aiming to do a future piece on more advanced rhythm study to cover things like odd meter, syncopation, and metric modulation more deeply, but that'll take some time to develop. Until then, good luck and happy practicing. I'll see you soon. If you made it this far into the video, I thank you dearly. I just reached 5,000 subscribers this past week, which is just like an unbelievable milestone. Folks have been checking out my music and subscribing to me elsewhere and sending me lovely notes and comments and all those good things. And it's very rewarding. You're all very good people, and I appreciate that I get to sit in my room and talk at a camera and it helps you. It's very cool to me. If you got some value out of this piece, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, as it helps me stay relevant in the YouTube omnisphere. And if you want to dive a bit deeper, consider subscribing to my Substack, where you can receive the essay portion of these video essays 1 week prior to their publishing on YouTube. Otherwise, I will be back very soon with a new Substack piece and video essay, of which I'm going to keep a bit of secrecy around because it's a different subject than I've covered before, and I'm still editing it, to be honest with you. But you can expect that next week. And besides that, yeah, thank you very much for watching, and be well. I will see you soon.